Get out. You don't belong here. This lounge is for important guests only. Veronica Hale didn't raise her voice. She sharpened it. The piano in the corner didn't dare miss a note. A few heads turned. Most pretended not to hear. Jasmine Carter lifted her eyes from the glowing city beyond the window. Excuse me? I said this area is reserved, Veronica replied, smile thin enough to cut. We protect the experience of our elite guests. I am a guest, Jasmine said, keeping her breath level. A paying one. Not the kind this room is designed for. Veronica's gaze traveled down Jasmine's tailored slate suit, the travel tag on her tote, the natural coils pinned neatly at the nape of her neck. Please gather your things. Jasmine's fingers tightened around the stem of her water glass. You're making a mistake. Security, Veronica called without looking away. Now, a uniformed guard approached, uncertain. Is there a problem, ma'am? There will be if she keeps disrupting our policy, Veronica said. Jasmine stood, slow and deliberate. What policy says I can't sit in a chair and breathe hotel air? The policy that prioritizes exclusivity, Veronica replied. Exclusivity, Jasmine echoed, voice even. Does that come in a shade that looks like me? A flicker crossed Veronica's face, then the mask snapped back. This is for your own comfort as well. My comfort would be you walking away. Jasmine set her glass down, not a clink out of place. But I'll leave. Not because you're right, because I'm not giving you a scene. Good, Veronica said, already turning. Make it quick. Jasmine shouldered her tote and stepped into the hallway's chill. The door closed, swallowing piano and people and the part of herself that wanted to shout. She paced 3 steps, then leaned against a marble column and counted to 8. It didn't help. A second later, heels clicked like tiny hammers. Veronica again, flanked by the same guard. Ms. Carter, was it? She asked, not waiting for an answer. You'll need to exit the premises. The premises? Jasmine's laugh came out like a cough. I showed you my reservation. You saw my name. Why would I be removed from a hotel I paid for? For failing to comply with a direct order from management, Veronica said smoothly. We don't tolerate defiance. I left the lounge, Jasmine said. I'm heading to my room. Defiance of what? Gravity? Ma'am, the guard interjected, softer now. If we could just... No, Veronica said, slicing the air. Escort her out. Jasmine's eyes flashed. Touch me and you'll regret it. Is that a threat? Veronica's tone brightened, like she'd been handed a stronger case. It's a promise that I know exactly who to call. Jasmine pulled out her phone, pulse steadying as her thumb found a number it had known since childhood. She turned away, breath cooling. Dad? Jess? Came the calm baritone. What's wrong? They're kicking me out of the Lorimer, she said. Manager named Veronica. Says I don't belong. On the other end, a pause. Then steel slid into the voice of Mayor Daniel Carter. Stay where you are. I'm coming. Dad! Stay where you are! The line clicked. Jasmine lowered the phone and met Veronica's expectant stare. Well, Veronica asked. He's on his way, Jasmine said. Who? Your boyfriend? My father, Jasmine said. The mayor. For the first time, Veronica's expression faltered, a hairline crack in porcelain. Then she smiled again. More teeth this time. We treat all guests the same. Do you? Jasmine said. That's the problem. Minutes bled into each other. Staff walked by pretending to be invisible. The guard shifted his weight from foot to foot. Jasmine watched the elevator bank with an animal clarity and rehearsed not crying. The lobby doors parted. A black SUV coasted to a stop. Daniel Carter stepped out with the quiet command of someone used to rooms standing straighter. The concierge moved first, then the bell captain. A path appeared like a trick. Jasmine, he said, reaching her in 3 strides, palm warm on her shoulder. You okay? I will be, she said, and felt it become true as the words left her mouth. Daniel's gaze landed on Veronica. You're the manager? Veronica Hale, she said, recovering her poise. Mayor Carter, what a surprise. We're honored. My daughter was removed from your lounge, he said. Then threatened with ejection from the hotel. Veronica smoothed an invisible wrinkle. There's been a misunderstanding. We have tiers of access to protect the experience of who? Daniel asked mildly. The question moved through the lobby like a breeze with teeth. Of our elite guests, Veronica answered. It's a standard practice. Standard isn't the same as lawful, Daniel said. It also isn't the same as decent. A woman in a navy sheath approached, posture perfect, smile polished. Mayor Carter Regina Thornton, she said, extending a hand. CEO of Lorimer Hospitality. Let's not escalate a minor service issue. Daniel didn't take the hand. It stopped being minor the second your manager decided my daughter's presence was a problem. Regina's smile didn't flicker. We'll, of course, investigate. You'll do more than that, Daniel said. For tonight, you'll apologize. In the morning, you'll explain your policies to the city council I'm sending, and by afternoon, you'll have a plan to ensure this never happens again. Mayor, Regina said, amused and annoyed. With respect, this is a private enterprise. With public contracts, Daniel replied. Cleanliness, convention hosting, tourism partnerships. You can check your ledgers if memory fails, Regina's jaw set. Veronica? Veronica stepped forward, contrition arranged on her face like jewelry. Ms. Carter, we're sorry for any inconvenience. Inconvenience is missing towels, Jasmine said. This was a choice. We'll upgrade your room, Regina added. A sincere gesture. I don't want your keycard silence, Jasmine said softly. I want you to see what you did. For a heartbeat, quiet pooled. Then Daniel touched his daughter's elbow. Jazz, give us a minute. She nodded, stepping aside but staying within earshot. The guard retreated like a tide. Staff found other things to polish. Daniel faced Veronica and Regina. You have a culture problem, he said. You also have a documentation problem. Because you just tried to eject a registered guest after publicly humiliating her? My office will be requesting your body cam and lobby footage. Body? Veronica blinked. We don't, then your cameras, Daniel said. You have them. This is the Lorimer, Regina exhaled through her nose. Mayor Carter, we can solve this without theatrics. I don't need theatrics, Daniel said. I need accountability. A young receptionist, badge reading Maya L., inched closer, eyes wide. Sir, she whispered, I tried to check Miss Carter in earlier. Ms. Hale redirected me. Veronica shot Maya a look that could curdle cream. Not now. Exactly now, Daniel said. Thank you, Maya, Regina recalibrated, voice turning conciliatory. Let's take this to my office. No, Jasmine said, stepping back in. We'll do it here. Where you did it. Regina studied her like a puzzle she hadn't trained for. Very well, she said. On behalf of the Lorimer, I apologize to Ms. Carter. Our staff will receive immediate retraining and Ms. Hale will be temporarily relieved of... Temporarily? Daniel asked. Veronica flinched. That's unnecessary, she said quickly. I followed protocol. Your protocol humiliated a guest, Jasmine said. If policy told you to jump, you leapt. If policy told you to look at me and see problem, you did that too. Regina's smile froze, then thawed into something like irritation. We're done, she said. Our legal team will connect with yours. Wonderful, Daniel said. They'll enjoy each other. Jasmine turned to Maya. Thank you, she said, for telling the truth. Maya's shoulders dropped, just a little. I'm sorry, she said. You shouldn't have had to ask for it. Jasmine nodded. The knot at her sternum loosened half a notch. Regina gestured to a waiting assistant. See Ms. Hale to HR, she said crisply. What? Veronica's voice pitched up. Regina, now, Regina said without looking at her. Veronica's lips parted, then pressed into a line. She pivoted on a heel and followed the assistant past the watchful concierge and the unreadable bell captain. The guard looked at his shoes. Dad, Jasmine said, quieter now. I just wanted to sit in a chair. I know, Daniel said. You will. Regina cleared her throat, reclaimed her brightness. Miss Carter, we'd like to offer... Keep it, Jasmine said. I'm not a problem you fix with a fruit basket. Regina's eyes cooled. Enjoy your stay, she said and strode away. The lobby relaxed by millimeters. Conversations resumed too quickly. The piano swelled, bravely pretending to be background again. Daniel turned to Jasmine, voice gentler. You want to head up? I want fresh air, Jasmine said. Then I'll head up. They stepped outside together. The city met them with headlights and late laughter. Jasmine exhaled into the night. I hate that I'm shaking. You're not shaking, Daniel said. You're recalibrating, Jasmine huffed a laugh. You always talk like that? Only when I need to sound wiser than I feel, he said. You did right. You didn't let them write the moment? They still wrote it, she said. I just added a line. Sometimes one line changes the whole paragraph, he said. Listen, tomorrow morning I'll have the city council review every policy this hotel has tied to public dollars. Today we take the win. They backed up. It doesn't feel like a win, Jasmine said. It rarely does on the same day, Daniel replied. Sleep. Big day tomorrow. She nodded, then hesitated. Dad, yeah. Thank you for showing up. I always will, he said. But hear me, you didn't need me to be brave. You already were. Yeah? Thank you for showing up. I always will, he said. But hear me, you didn't need me to be brave. You already were. He squeezed her shoulder and headed to his car, phone already at his ear. Jasmine watched the SUV disappear into traffic, then turned back to the revolving doors. Inside, the lobby seemed to grin less. She crossed it without shrinking and pressed the elevator button. As the doors slid open, a voice called softly, Ms. Carter? Jasmine turned. It was Maya, the receptionist, holding out a small envelope. This was printed before, she said. Welcome letter. It got interrupted. Jasmine took it. Thank you, Maya. I hope you stay, Maya said, eyes earnest. Some of us want this place to be better, Jasmine considered, then smiled. Then I will. Upstairs, the room received her like a friend. She set her tote down, stood at the window, and let the city's glow wash her face. Her phone buzzed. A new message lit the screen. Unknown number. Ms. Carter, my name is Adrian Brooks, investigative journalist. I witnessed tonight's incident. If you're willing, I'd like to talk in the morning about patterns at the Lorimer. There's history here. Receipts, too. Jasmine stared at the message, heartbeat steady now. She typed, 10 a.m. in the lobby cafe. I'll be there. Another buzz. Mr. Clark from the conference committee. Heard about the lobby. I'm sorry. Also, your panel is still on. We want your voice more than ever. Jasmine smiled without meaning to. I'll be ready, she typed. A soft knock sounded. She peered through the peephole. Room service, a silver dome, and a note. She opened the door carefully. Compliments of the hotel, the attendant said. Professional, neutral. From the kitchen, not management. Jasmine lifted the dome. A chamomile tea and a small plate of lemon shortbread. The note, handwritten, for settling your hands. A line cook who watched his mother be told she didn't belong. Jasmine's throat tightened. Please thank them, she said. I will, the attendant replied and left the hallway quiet again. She sat, wrapped her hands around the cup, and let the steam rinse the day. Tomorrow would bring press calls, policy meetings, a curious journalist with an open file. Tonight held only the tea, the city, and the vow she'd made to herself years ago. Never let someone else shrink the room you built your way into. Her phone vibrated once more. Private number. Apologies for earlier, Ms. Carter. I'd like to meet and explain. Veronica Jasmine stared at the name until the letters blurred. She typed, then deleted. Typed again. We'll speak when there's more than an apology on the table. She hit send, set the phone face down, and stood at the window until the city lights turned from spectacle to company. In the glass, her reflection looked like someone who had already decided not to disappear. Behind her, the television glowed with muted news. A crawl at the bottom mentioned the mayor's unplanned visit to the Lorimer. Cameras would be circling by morning. People would choose sides. She was not a headline, she told herself. She was a person with a chair in a room and a right to sit. Her breathing evened. The cup emptied. The bed welcomed her like a promise kept. Downstairs, in a quiet office, Regina flipped through a manila folder older than the lobby chandeliers. She traced a surname in the faded minutes of a 1961 meeting and, after a thoughtful beat, closed the file with care. History, she murmured to the empty room, is just a brand with longer memory. In the hallway outside HR, Veronica sat alone, a paper cup cooling in her hands. She rehearsed the word misunderstanding until it lost its shape. Then she unlocked her phone, scrolled to a contact labeled A. Thornton, and hovered a thumb above the call button. She didn't press it. Not yet. At 10 a.m., someone would ask questions with a recorder on the table. At 10:05, someone else would answer the first in a long line of calls from City Hall. At 10:10, a young designer would walk into a cafe and decide whether to be silent or to be seismic. For now, the city breathed in and the Lorimer held its breath. "Miss Carter?" The voice was polite, almost careful. Jasmine looked up from her untouched cappuccino and saw Adrian Brooks, camera bag slung over one shoulder, notepad peeking from the side. He had sharp eyes, the kind that measured details before words. "You're Adrian," she said, gesturing at the empty chair. "That's me." He sat, setting the notepad down but not opening it yet. "Thank you for agreeing. I know last night wasn't easy." "Easy isn't the word I'd use," Jasmine said flatly. "Humiliating fits better." Adrian nodded. "I believe you. And I don't think you were the first?" Jasmine tilted her head. "Meaning?" "This hotel has a history," Adrian said, lowering his voice. "And what happened to you wasn't just a manager's whim. It's inherited. Inherited." He unzipped his bag and slid a photograph across the table. A black and white image dated 1962. A group of men and women stood outside the Lorimer, stern-faced. "This is the hotel 60 years ago. The man in the middle is Reginald Thornton, segregationist, original owner. And here," Adrian tapped the edge of the photo, "Agnes Hale, Veronica's great-aunt." Jasmine blinked. "The same Agnes she mentioned when she texted me last night?" "Yes, she wasn't a secretary like some claim. She ran the hotel through its ugliest years, and she passed those ideas to Veronica. That's why what you experienced felt so deliberate." "It was." Jasmine let out a slow breath. "And Regina? The current CEO?" "Regina Thornton is Reginald's granddaughter. She carries the legacy. Veronica enforces it." Adrian leaned forward. "I found letters, meeting minutes. Policies masked as exclusivity. It's all still alive." Jasmine studied him. "And what do you expect me to do with this?" "Stand with me," he said simply. "If I publish alone, Regina buries the story in lawsuits. But if you, the mayor's daughter and a direct victim, speak too, it becomes undeniable." She stared at the photograph again, at the ghostly faces lined in front of the hotel's doors. "If we go public? Scandal. Loss of contracts. Veronica out. Regina's name dragged with her grandfather's. Maybe the city finally faces its shadow." Jasmine's lips twitched into a bitter smile. "You make it sound tidy." "It won't be tidy. It'll be ugly. But it'll be true." Her phone buzzed after Adrian left. Mr. Clark, the conference organizer, sounded triumphant. "Miss Carter, your grace last night impressed a lot of people. Some crumble under that kind of treatment. You didn't. We want you to speak on a new panel tomorrow, Integrity and Leadership. Your voice is needed." Jasmine hesitated, heart racing. "I'll do it. Excellent. Consider it your platinum invitation." The call ended, pride warming her chest. But before she could savor it, her screen lit again. Veronica. "Miss Carter, please. I need to explain. Meet me tonight." Jasmine nearly deleted it. Instead, she typed back 1 hour. Lobby cafe. Public place. Veronica looked smaller under the cafe lights, shoulders drawn tight, eyes rimmed with fatigue. "Thank you for coming," she whispered. "Talk," Jasmine said, arms crossed. "I wasn't always like this," Veronica began. "I grew up around everyone. But when my parents died, my Aunt Agnes raised me. She taught me that people like you were dangerous, that we had to hold on to status. She twisted me, made me see difference as threat. And when I started here, Regina reinforced it. Not openly, subtle, certain words, expectations. I followed them. I thought I was doing my job." "So last night wasn't a mistake," Jasmine said coldly. "It was obedience." Veronica flinched. "Yes, and I regret it. I don't want to keep being this." "Sorry doesn't undo what you did in front of strangers," Jasmine replied. "I know, but I can help you. If I expose what I know about Regina, about the policies, you'll have to choose," Jasmine said. Justice or complicity. Later that night, Adrian was back in the basement archives. His flashlight swept dust from forgotten shelves until he found a bundle of letters bound by faded ribbon. He untied it and froze. Minutes of a meeting, 1958. Reginald Thornton presiding. Agnes Hale present. Purpose: maintain segregation policies within hotel operations. Future generations must guard the brand against dilution. His hands trembled as he snapped photos. Another page slipped loose, this one recent. Regina Thornton's neat signature at the bottom. All staff are reminded, certain spaces are for exclusive clientele. This tradition is vital to maintaining the Lorimer brand. Tradition. Adrian cursed under his breath. It wasn't nostalgia. It was practice. The next morning, he secured a meeting with Regina under the pretense of writing a profile. Her office gleamed with portraits of her grandfather, his severe eyes watching. "Mr. Brooks," she said, welcoming him with a practiced smile. "What can I do for you?" "I've uncovered information about your hotel's past," Adrian said, recorder already on. "Segregationist meetings, policies, connection still active?" Regina's smile thinned. "The past is the past." Not when it's still shaping the present. She leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Some truths are better left buried. For your own good, Mr. Brooks." "I don't scare easy," Adrian said evenly. "The public deserves to know." Her lips curved into a sneer. "Publish what you like. We'll drown it in lawyers. You'll be finished before the ink dries." Adrian stood, gathering his notes. "We'll see." That evening, Jasmine and Adrian met again. He laid documents on the table between their coffees. "Letters, memos, photographs. This is it," Adrian said. "Proof." Agnes Hale started it. Regina continues it. Veronica enforces it. Jasmine touched the brittle paper, seeing Agnes's signature. So every word, every humiliation wasn't random. It was written decades ago. "Exactly," Adrian said. "Then it ends here," Jasmine replied. Adrian looked at her, respect clear. "You're ready for the storm?" "I've been in storms my whole life," Jasmine said. "But this time I'm not alone." They clasped hands briefly. Outside the cafe window, unnoticed, Veronica lingered in the shadows. Her face unreadable, she pulled her phone from her coat. Her thumb hovered over Regina's number, then slid past. She typed instead to Jasmine, "I have more to tell you. Meet me tomorrow." Alone. Jasmine read the message, pulse quickening. She couldn't tell if it was a trap or a chance at truth. Either way, the fight was far from over. Jasmine arrived 10 minutes early and chose the table by the broad window where the morning light made everything too honest to hide. The cafe was quieter than usual, the staff moving with that careful choreography that follows a scandal. She kept her phone face down and told herself to trust her own instincts. If Veronica wanted to talk alone, then alone was how they would talk, within sight of a barista, within reach of a security camera. Veronica slipped in with a scarf pulled high, sunglasses she didn't need. She removed both as she sat. No lipstick, no armor. "Thank you," she said, voice gone hoarse. "You said you had more," Jasmine replied. "I'm listening." Veronica didn't touch the menu. "When I said my aunt poisoned me, I left out how willingly I drank. I wanted to belong to something important. Agnes promised that if I protected the brand would protect me." She looked at her hands. "Regina promises the same." "Promises what exactly?" "Access," Veronica said. "Boardrooms, contracts. The illusion of safety that comes with thinking you're on the winning side." She lifted her eyes. "But it's never safe. It's just quiet for a while." "You called me to confess or to bargain?" Jasmine asked. "To hand you a key," Veronica said, leaning forward. "There's a second archive. Not the dusty one Adrian found. The real one. Locked cabinet behind a false panel in Regina's office. It holds policies that never went through HR. Memos that spell out who gets steered where and how. Names, dates. The language is polite, but it's a blueprint." "Why tell me?" Jasmine said softly. "Because I'm tired," Veronica said. "Because I saw your father look at me like a mirror he refused to hang in his house. Because I watched a receptionist shake as she chose between her job and the truth. Because I don't know who I am after last night, but I know who I don't want to be." Jasmine felt the tremor of danger even as she felt the pull of possibility. "How do we get to it?" "I still have access," Veronica said. "For now." HR hasn't finalized anything. Regina thinks she can contain this, so she hasn't cut my badge. If we go in this afternoon while Regina's at lunch with a donor, I can open the panel. You, me, and Adrian. We copy, we leave. You understand this could ruin you, Jasmine said. It already did, Veronica answered. I'd rather be ruined for telling the truth than for pretending a lie is policy. Jasmine studied her face for the old coldness and found a rawness instead, a person picking splinters of herself from under her skin. Text me when the window opens, she said. I'll bring Adrian. Veronica nodded, stood, and faltered. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm not qualified to give it, Jasmine said, but I know what to do with evidence. When Veronica left, Jasmine turned her phone over. One new message from Adrian. Press conference forming rumors. City Hall, 4 p.m. Your father's office wants you there. Another from Mr. Clark. Your panel in 2 hours. Crowd is packed. She breathed out. Somewhere between a stage and a raid, the day would decide what the hotel became next. The panel room vibrated with voices. Jasmine stood behind the curtain as Mr. Clark introduced the theme: integrity, leadership, the cost of doing the right thing when it costs something. She stepped into the lights and saw faces tilted toward her like questions. I don't have a neat definition of integrity, she began, hands unadorned at her sides. What I have is a story. Last night I sat in a chair and was told I didn't belong. I've been told that in 1,000 shapes. This one wore marble and a piano. I could list the ways it hurt, but what matters is what happened next. Some people stood still in that room. Stillness can be a choice. One person spoke up. My father showed up. A journalist dug where dust wanted him to stop, and I had to decide whether my voice was a brand risk or a human obligation. She paused, listening to the quiet. Integrity is when you pick the obligation and live with the risk. The applause swelled, surprised and relieved. Afterward, hands reached, cards exchanged, condolences offered with careful phrases. Jasmine smiled where she could, excused herself where she couldn't, and reached the elevator with 2 minutes to spare when her phone buzzed. Now, Veronica wrote, Regina's at the Harbor Club, 15 minutes. Adrian was already pacing by the concierge desk when Jasmine arrived in the lobby. You sure? He asked. We'll be on 10 different cameras. Let them film, Jasmine said. Film has a way of keeping people honest. Veronica met them near the service corridor, hair tucked under a plain cap. Follow me, she said, and led them through the staff hallway where the carpet surrendered to tile and the scent of citrus cleaner replaced perfume. They bypassed elevators in favor of a metal stairwell that sounded each step like a confession. Regina's office sat behind a frosted glass door etched with a crest that pretended to be history. Veronica swiped her badge. The latch clicked as if surprised and then accepted its fate. Inside, sunlight pooled on a desk that had been polished into a second mirror. Portraits watched. Books pretended to be read. Veronica crossed to a wall shelf and lifted a particular edition of The Ethics of Hospitality. The shelf shifted with a sigh, revealing a narrow panel. Veronica exhaled. She never thought I'd need this again, she murmured, and pressed her palm to a flush plate concealed in the wood grain. The panel slid aside. A locked cabinet blinked a tiny green light at the sight of Veronica's badge. The door opened on files the color of old teeth. Adrian inhaled and set a portable scanner on the desk, hands suddenly precise. Jasmine reached for a folder labeled with years that matched her parents' youth. Veronica took another, marked with months that felt like now. The memos were fiction masquerading as courtesy. We remind staff that certain lounges cultivate a curated atmosphere. Seating guidance should be applied with discretion. Preferred profiles include legacy patrons and those aligned with our brand aesthetic. Lists followed. Preferred profiles were described without saying the quiet word. Non-preferred profiles were circled in red on a printout someone had thought would never leave this room. God, Jasmine whispered. Her name did not appear. Last night had been too fresh to have become paperwork, but the shape of her was implied in every line. Adrian scanned flipping pages into light. This is enough, he said, throat tight. More than enough. He paused on a letter signed by Regina, addressed to a donor. We preserve tradition not out of nostalgia, but out of stewardship. Spaces must be defended to remain special. He photographed the signature and the date last month. Footsteps in the corridor froze the air. Veronica snapped the cabinet shut, palm to plate. The panel whispered back into the wall. She shoved the book into place and smoothed the shelf a heartbeat before the door handle turned. Regina entered with two men trailing her, one in a navy suit with a lapel pin, the other the hotel's legal counsel, immaculate and humorless. Her smile held for a count of one, then vanished. "What?" she said, each letter its own shard. "Are you doing in my office?" "Looking for the past you told me to leave buried," Adrian said, "because sometimes truth deserved to be the first word." Regina's eyes went to Veronica, who didn't look away. "You," she said softly, "were a mistake I intended to fix gently." "Fix me into silence?" Veronica asked. "Into a transfer? Into a version of myself that goes home and scrubs her hands until morning?" Regina's laugh was small and elegant. "You think you're brave. You're just replaceable." Jasmine stepped forward. "We made copies," she said. "You can fire us, sue us, threaten us, but the files left with the light the moment we opened them." The lawyer cleared his throat. "This conversation is over. Any documents removed constitute theft of prejudice," Jasmine said. "You branded it. We unwrapped it." Regina's gaze flicked to the portraits, then to the lawyer, then back to Jasmine. A calculation moved over her face like a shadow tossed by a moving cloud. "Do you know what happens when you try to burn a house? Sometimes it burns down around you. Sometimes it reveals a foundation worth saving," Adrian replied. Regina's smile returned, brittle. "You have nothing but photocopies and accusations. The city will not reconfigure contracts based on a spectacle." "Then you'll have to watch a spectacle," Jasmine said. 4:00. City Hall. Bring your crest." They left before Regina could choose fury or grace. The hall felt narrower on the way out, the stairs steeper. In the lobby, the murmur of guests sounded like rain beginning. Adrian clutched his bag to his chest as if it carried a baby bird. They didn't wait for 4:00 to come for them. They walked toward it. City Hall's steps were a theater. Cameras nested like a flock of chrome-eyed birds. Jasmine found her father at the podium, his tie slightly askew, the version of him who had just stopped a meeting to stand where he was needed. "Ready?" he asked, and looked at her in a way that asked more. "Ready to be named? Ready to be believed and doubted in equal measure? Ready to tip a weight off a ledge and accept the sound it made?" "Ready," she said. Adrian sat up beside the press corps, not as a bystander now, but as a carrier of evidence. Veronica stood a pace behind Jasmine, pale but steady. Regina appeared 3 minutes late, flanked by counsel, smile composed, earrings the size of small planets. Daniel spoke first. He thanked the press, he named the moment. He refused to flatten it into misunderstanding. He gestured to Jasmine, who stepped forward and told the story again, not to reopen the hurt, but to nail its shape to the day where it could be measured against a set of papers. Then Adrian described what he found, not the dust, the design. He spoke about memos that dressed discrimination in couture language, about signatures that tied lineage to policy. When he held up a copy of the letter with Regina's words, "Stewardship," defended to remain special, flashes erupted like a small storm. Regina waited her turn and took it with posture so perfect it bordered on parody. "We categorically deny that the Lorimer enforces discrimination," she said. "Any outdated language in legacy documents has been taken out of context. We celebrate diversity. We regret any guest felt otherwise." Her voice caressed the word regret as if it were a gift she had wrapped herself. A reporter raised a hand. "Ms. Thornton, can you explain why staff were instructed to steer non-preferred profiles away from certain lounges?" "Our brand aesthetic requires balance," Regina replied. "It's about ambiance, not ancestry." "Your lists say differently," Adrian said. "Our lawyers will address any alleged documents," Regina countered. Daniel stepped back to the microphones. His voice was no louder than before, but it seemed to stand on something taller. "The city will not subsidize a brand aesthetic that relies on exclusion. Effective immediately, all municipal partnerships with the Lorimer are suspended pending a full review. Any future relationship will be contingent on leadership changes and verifiable policy reforms." He paused as murmurs lifted like a flock startled into air. We are not canceling a hotel. We are choosing the kind of city we intend to be. A reporter called, "Mayor Carter, do you support calls for Ms. Hale's termination?" Daniel glanced at Veronica, who kept her chin up. Employment decisions belong to the company. Accountability belongs to all of us. Ms. Hale is cooperating with the investigation. Another voice. Who will ensure the hotel follows through? We will, Daniel said. And so will the public. The conference should have ended there, with statements and counter-statements, with a next step shaped like a committee. Instead, Daniel looked at Adrian with an expression that blended pride and a dare. "Mr. Brooks," he said into the microphones, "has agreed to serve as interim compliance manager to oversee the hotel's reforms, reporting jointly to the city and to an independent board of community stakeholders." He smiled almost mischievously. "He seems to be good at finding things." Adrian's mouth opened. For once, words didn't arrive on time. Jasmine touched his elbow and felt his flinch melt into a stunned laugh. "That's not how hotels usually hire," Regina said, amusement turning serrated. "A journalist with no hospitality background?" "Someone who can read a document and tell the truth about it," Daniel said. "The rest we can teach." Cameras clicked. Reporters shouted fresh questions. Jasmine shook hands she would not remember and saw people she would not forget. Maya from the front desk at the edge of the crowd, eyes bright. The line cook who had sent the tea, clapping quietly by a pillar. A group of young designers holding programs from the conference like tiny banners. After the microphones were folded and the steps cleared, the four of them, Jasmine, Daniel, Adrian, Veronica, found the quiet under a plane tree in the plaza. The afternoon had that washed-out glow of a day that had swallowed more than it meant to. "I didn't agree," Adrian said finally, dazed and delighted. "You didn't have to," Daniel replied. "You just have to show up again tomorrow. That's the job most days." Veronica stared at her shoes. "I don't know where to stand now." "Start where you didn't stand before," Jasmine said. "In front of the truth." Veronica nodded, a small movement that looked like a first step. "I'll testify. I'll hand over everything I know, and then I'll get out of the way." "Get out of the way after you help fix it," Adrian said. "Then you can decide what out of the way looks like." They walked back toward the hotel together. A strange procession, daughter, father, reporter, contrite manager, surrounded by a city that had started the morning believing one story about itself and was ending the afternoon chewing on another. That evening, the Lorimers' lobby didn't hum so much as listen. Staff stood in small clusters, not whispering, but waiting. Regina retreated to the elevator with her counsel, face set to marble. Maya approached Jasmine with a folded paper in her hand. "HR memo," she said. "Emergency listening sessions. Outside facilitators. We've never had those words here." "It's a start," Jasmine said. A couple emerged from the lounge and nodded at her in a way that said they had read a headline and chosen a side. The piano played something brave and imperfect. The concierge smiled, not like a shield, but like a welcome. Adrian peeled off toward the back offices, a new badge clipped awkwardly to his jacket like a joke he was trying on. Daniel squeezed Jasmine's shoulder. "I'm going to let you have your chair now," he said. She took the hint and walked toward the lounge. The hostess looked up, surprised, then recovered with a genuine grin. "Miss Carter," she said, "would you like your corner?" "My corner," Jasmine repeated, and the words tasted less like claim than like return. "Yes, please," she sat. The chair held her as if it had been waiting. A server approached. "On the house," he said, setting down water and a small plate, lemon shortbread again, familiar as a handshake. "From the kitchen." "Thank you," Jasmine said. Her phone vibrated. "A message from an unknown number. I watched you today. I was wrong yesterday. I'll do better. A guest who pretended not to hear." She typed back nothing. Some apologies worked best as vows delivered to whatever came next. Across the room, Veronica hovered at the threshold, as if the carpet might reject her. Jasmine met her eyes and tilted her head toward a chair 2 tables away. Veronica nodded once and sat, hands folded, the posture of someone learning to be present without control. The city outside pressed its face against the glass in the form of lights and motion. Jasmine opened her sketchbook, drew a single line, then another. Not designs, not yet. Just proof that a hand could move with purpose after being told not to. Adrian appeared at the doorway, hair slightly disheveled, expression part terror, part exhilaration. He lifted a thumb in a half-joke, half-signal. Still here, not fired. Scanner plugged in, forms printed. Jasmine smiled, real and uncomplicated. Her father texted, "Proud of you." "Proud with you is better." She wrote back, "Both works for me." Night slid in, bringing with it a cooler version of the day. Regina's office light remained dark. The portraits on her wall for once had no audience. Somewhere in the building, a maintenance worker replaced a bulb that had flickered all week. In the kitchen, a dishwasher sang softly as plates returned clean. In HR, a calendar was rewritten to make room for sessions no one had known how to name yesterday. In the archive, the air settled where the cabinet had yawned and told its secrets to a scanner. In the lounge, Jasmine finished her water and broke a cookie in half. She ate one piece and left the other on the plate. Things don't always have to be finished at once, she thought. Some endings are just spaces you make, so the next thing has somewhere true to begin. She rose, smoothed her suit, and walked out through a lobby that had learned, in a single long day, how to be a little more honest with itself. The revolving door turned. The night caught her and kept moving. Behind her, the piano found the right note after all. Ahead of her, the city held a seat she didn't have to ask permission to take.